not with a loud shatter, but with a slow, silent crumble from the inside out, which is going to lead to a large development of depression. And if you've ever felt this way, even for a moment, if you've ever felt that gnawing emptiness when you're supposed to feel accomplished, or that sense of being a imposter in your own life, I want you to hear this loud and clear, that you are definitely by far not alone. And the reason you're feeling this is probably not what you think it is. It's not just about manning up or trying harder. It goes way deeper than that. In tonight's show, we're going to pull back yet another curtain on the silent crisis facing millions of men, and we'll expose the unorthodox reasons so many good men are spiraling, feeling lost and disconnected, even when they are surrounded by people. And then, most importantly, I'm going to give you 5 practical, no nonsense steps that you can take. And starting today, you'll be able to reclaim a life of genuine purpose, connection, and a sense of worth that isn't dependent on your next win. So, this isn't about a quick fix, it's about building a new foundation. So, stay with me, because this one is one of the most important conversations that we can have right now. And we've touched based on similar topics like this over the past year, but we do have to circle back and cover some of these things, because this is true to life issues that don't always get addressed and they don't always get rectified. Michael says everyone will feel that way sometime in their lives. That is true, but in all honesty, men take it a lot harder than women take it, because a woman's value is not how much she accomplishes in her life. The good grades that she gets, the degrees that she accomplishes, the promotions on her job, these things are not how women are valued in society. Primarily, they're valued by their looks, they're valued by their effort that they put into their relationships, and their ability to cooperate with their partner, remove peace from the or not remove peace, but remove chaos from the relationship and bring peace while maintaining organization in the relationship. That's going to be what's going to determine valuability of a woman. And then on top of that, it's going to be child rearing and potentially raising children. But statistically, men can do that a lot better. It's just, society has always made it these expectations. Now, I'm not going to lie. I've told you guys before throughout the last couple of weeks that if a woman's knowledge was utilized to boost her relationship, if her career was utilized to build generational wealth in her relationship, then she would be valued by her career and her knowledge. But whatever she makes is for her, and whatever he makes is also for her. What she knows doesn't matter, because if he can't make a decision, then he's worthless, right? And that's going to be a dynamic that doesn't change. Whether she's smart or not, the society will help a woman less if there's a man involved, right? So this dynamic here is that if a man does not have a purpose or a duty, they fall into reckless behavior. We call that midlife crisis, specifically because these men will spend the majority of their lives being responsible, and then after the kids have gone off to college, nobody needs them anymore. The wife is doing her own thing. The man has no purpose. Now he's buying his hot rod and racing through the streets and selling the house and getting an RV and riding a Harley across the country and all kinds of wild stuff, because he doesn't have a responsibility anymore. So this is a big change that happens in men instead of women. He says, I'm a failure in my life, just a pawn. Well, some people might feel that way. You shouldn't feel that way, Michael, but I know a lot of people do feel that way. Steven, I was trying to set up the second coming of Christ, but I'm having trouble finding a village idiot to do it. Well, you can by far sign up and do it because anybody can be the village idiot. So, by all means, Steve, go ahead and make it happen. So, let's start by calling this what it is, a quiet crisis. Recent CDC data shows that while men make up about half the population, they account for nearly 80% of all suicides. Wow. And in 2023, men died by suicide nearly 4 times more often than women. So this isn't just a statistic, it's a tragic unfolding in homes every single day. So, what is going on? And what is the hidden architecture behind this type of despair? Well, the answer begins with something called the performance trap. I appreciate it, Stephen, but you're going to have to maintain appropriateness because when you dove in here behaving like the village idiot, you weren't setting a good precedent for trolling. For some reason, Michael didn't catch you, but that's okay. His finger's itching, and I'm not going to stop him. Yeah, I agree with that. Why? Uh, the answer begins with something called the performance trap. So, from the moment we're boys, we are socialized into a very specific model of value. It's the boys don't cry mantra that teaches us to suppress emotions in favor of stoicism. It's the constant praise for what we do, scoring goals, getting the A, and fixing a broken toy, rather than for who we are. And we learn through social reinforcement that our value is conditional. It must be earned, and it's earned through performance. It says, well, how do we judge what's appropriate? All right, so it is appropriate if it is exclusively related to the topic of discussion and it is not devaluing in any way to anyone for any reason. Disagreeing with the topic at hand can be appropriately done without attacking the messenger or devaluing the person with the facts, because the facts are still going to be the facts no matter how much you don't like the person delivering the facts. So when you came in about your second coming comment, that was, we're not talking about religion right now, and then the way you ended that comment was extremely inappropriate, and it just distracts everybody who came to learn something from their ability to learn something. And unlike heckling a stand-up comic, I'm not a comic. I'm actually trying to help people improve themselves. So if you're not willing to improve yourself, you don't have to stick around. But if you're gonna stick around, you can watch in silence or comment appropriately. And appropriately means in direct relation to the topic of discussion. So we're looking at like a strike two kind of situation, and then after that, it'll just be, it is what it is. Now, this is going to create what psychologists sometimes call a provider-only value system in men. So for many men, their core identity becomes fused with their ability to provide, protect, and produce. And their job title, bank account, physical strength, or ability to solve a problem, these are going to become the pillars upon which their self-worth is built. What age are you looking at, Michael? Because this, when we say starting off as boys, we're talking about like old enough to get out and do some stuff. Boys are taught this from 2, 3 years old. Just when parents don't want their kids to cry, big kids don't cry when they're talking to girls, and boys don't cry when we're talking to boys. Man up, right? We teach we everyone. It's not just the boys that are taught to swallow their emotions, but the boys are less allowed to cry and express their emotions and feelings throughout their childhood, which leads them to bottle up everything and suppress everything uh, throughout their adulthood. And what gets worse is that girls are allowed to cry because they're girls. So even though stop crying as a baby turns into it's okay, you can cry because you're a girl. And then as an adult, women can cry. Women can get emotional. Women can get frustrated and upset. But men are not allowed to do that. If a man gets frustrated, if a man gets upset, he's overly aggressive, he's hostile, he's all of these things that are the exact same thing that a woman does, but when a woman does it, it's she's emotional, right? So men are shunned in society from expressing or addressing any level of emotion. You can't express anger, can't express frustration at any age. There's never a safe space for a man to be able to express his disappointment in anything that he's experiencing in his life. And he is shamed for it, not just by women, but by men too, which is where man up came from. One man would tell another man to man up. One man would tell a boy to man up. One boy would tell another boy to man up, you know, and that take a salt tablet, swap some spit on it, get up and get it again. So it's like it's throughout their life. Oh, you're talking about that guy's age? Oh, he's got to be highly immature. The one being bad, he's highly immature. Looking at the profile might be his father's photo or something like that, because he looks like he's a little bit too old to be trolling podcasts at 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night. But yeah, and we're also told to walk it off. We're also told to walk it off. So these are things that discouragement. So and you'll notice that walk it off, don't cry, blah blah blah. But now we'll fall, we'll bust our knee open, we've got blood all over the place, and we're supposed to just suck our teeth real hard and tie it down with something and limp through the pain, right? Athletes limp through the pain, play through the pain, fight through the pain, and keep going. Don't complain about the how much the pain hurts. You get the job done. You keep walking until you get there, no matter how long it takes. Right foot in front of your left and keep going till you reach your destination. A girl can stop. That's by all means. You can sit there and wait for somebody to pick you up and carry you there. But guys are not allowed to do that. And that's a core training there. Special shout out to a different Steve, the positive Steve. That double standard always existed as far back as I can remember. Yeah, that double standard has existed as far back as both of us can remember, because we're almost in the same genre. We're almost in the same age group. And the fact is that it is a dynamic that cannot be changed unless men start becoming more aware of how we change this. Studies consistently show that unemployment has a more pronounced negative impact on men's mental health, leading to increasing stress, anxiety, and depression. So, on the surface, this can be a powerful motivator. It drives ambition, it builds cities, but it has a dark side, and we rarely talk about that part. What happens when those pillars start to shake, and what happens when you lose your job, when your health declines, when you face a problem that you can't fix, especially right away, something that lingers. These are the things that these are the questions right here that I continuously talk to you guys about how to build around so that it doesn't negatively impact you as much. There are problems in your life that you can't control. You just got to deal with them. There are things in your life that you can control. Reduces the stress that's in your life. When your health declines, while your health is good, if you're building a fortress of financial stability for the later, while your health is good, when your health starts to decline, you've got money to fall back on to retire. I talk to you guys about your 20-year plan, because if you start while you're healthy and over the next 10 to 20 years, you're building that wealth. Yeah, it sounds like a lot of time, but if you're 30, 40 now, when you know that the average life is going to be 85, and 30 or 40 right now would have you do 20 years and you'll be 50 or 60. You got like 25 years left at 60. You've got 35 years left at 50. And that's if you don't make it to 90. And when your health starts declining in your 40s and 50s, you're going to want to stop, and you can't because you don't have a nest egg. But if you built that nest egg, we're going to call it early retirement because the retirement age is closer to 70 now. But if you did work until you were 70, thinking that, yeah, the last 15 years of my life, I'm going to have it on easy street. The only way you can do that is while you're able to go to work every day and work for somebody else, even if you don't start up your own business, that you have the capabilities to build enough generational wealth so that you can put extra money aside for your future self when your health declines, when you lose a job, because that's going to happen, and that's going to throw a wrench in your 20-year plan. When you have the extra money lying around, you have a financial blanket there to cover when times are tough. It slows down your progress for your end goal for your 20-year plan. Your 20-year plan might turn into a 25 or 30-year plan. But if you're doing a 30-year plan at 30, you're still going to be 60, and retirement is going to be giving you less than $1,000 a month at 70. So you still got 10 years left to beat the U.S. government, where you're making $5,000 to $10,000 a month income off of your principal investment. And these are the questions that I answer when I give you guys different ways to improve yourselves beyond the limitations of what you accept. Not what you know, what you accept. He said, like most people, we don't want to be a burden on others and can't stop aging. And that's true. While we don't want to be a burden to others, we don't have a choice. If we live old enough to have our license suspended because we're too old to drive, if we live old enough to have regular checkups every week with a medical provider not that's just making sure you're doing okay, we're going to be a burden. Somebody's got to bring us to the doctor. Somebody's got to get our medication. Someone's got to drive us to the store, get our groceries. Those individuals that spent the largest majority of their life outside of the technological era, they're now going to need somebody who has the patience to work the computer for them, because one, they don't know how, and two, they don't have the patience to learn. At 70, 80 years old, they don't want to learn anything new. They just want to exist until they die, right? And you could probably do that in a healthier scenario if you had more money to cover healthcare. He said, first, medical bills, especially America, you're broke. But see, with America, the medical bills don't even hit your credit score anymore. So now it's just like, fuck it, charge that shit off, because it's not gonna it's not gonna put a dent. If I go to the ER, it is what it is. But most people should have health insurance, and you should be doing preventative maintenance with your health, and preventative maintenance with your car, and preventative maintenance with your house or your apartment, whether you rent or own. You should be doing preventative maintenance. And you're going to say, oh, well, I pay rent, my landlord should do that. Your landlord should fix the shit that you knew was going to break when you didn't say anything about it. Like, they're supposed to be the one that comes and fix the hot water heater, but you're the one that's supposed to change out the carpet when you fuck it up, or the hole in the wall, or a light bulb is out. You don't have to get them to come and fix the microwave when the microwave handle breaks. You can do that. Preventative maintenance on your place. Then when you do call them for something that's not your responsibility, like the air conditioner, or a hole in the ceiling, then they're coming in and taking care of some stuff that they're supposed to take care of. But mild maintenance, you should be able to take care of yourself. You should be able to treat it like a real home, right? Treat it like you value it. And I'm gonna tell women the same thing. Treat your men like you value them. But when your worth is entirely external now, when it's based on something that you do, it can be taken away at any moment. Your whole identity can be built on what you do, who you do it for, and why you do it. I work as whatever for whatever company, that's your identity. Why do you work like that? Because I'm providing for X, Y, and Z, a family member, a spouse, kids, whatever, whatever. Because I'm working so hard, my value as a man is I'm a good man because I'm providing for all of these dependents, right? I'm a good man because I'm with a good career, right? But not because I have a good character, not because I have a good personality. I have a piss poor attitude, but I've got a good career. That makes me a good man, right? And if you lose that job, that identity, your value is lost with that job. If you lose those family members, and you don't have to lose a family member because they died, and you don't always have to lose a family member because you got a divorce. You could lose a family member because the kids that you were taking care of are no longer requiring you to take care of them because they're adults. They've moved on, they've gotten married, they're going off to college. You know, you could take care of your wife until she ends up in a retirement home, but unless there's grandchildren in the house that you're taking care of, or a second generation of children that you're taking care of, once that I'm a provider role stops, that's it. You're retired from being a provider. Well, it's not that I'm a slave to it. So when you say because I'm a slave to the dollar, time is money. It's not that. Your value and your purpose as a person is not tied to being a slave to the dollar. Your value and your purpose as a person makes you a slave to external validation. And the external validation makes you a slave to the money. And your time is what dictates how much you get, because you only get paid by the hour until you start thinking of ways to make money for you when you are not getting up and getting out there and making that money for yourself. See what I'm saying? And when these things happen, when your identity is taken from you, when your purpose is taken from you, the logic of the performance is going to develop a trap that says that your worth disappears along with whatever validated your existence. And this is where the shame is going to begin. It's not just disappointment, it's a deep personal indictment of your very being. You feel defective, redundant, and a failure. And because we've also been taught that emotional vulnerability is considered weakness, we don't talk about it as men. We're not going to go to another man and sit on a porch and drink a 40 and talk about how we feel worthless, right? Ironically, a lot of the times we preach that the man is keeping us down, but it's just a social dynamic that we feel oppressed by our stringent role as a man, that there's no flexibility there, because if you do not perform as a man, you're not masculine. All of a sudden now your gender identity is challenged because you're not performing this exclusive role as a man. Now, women, they can be fluid. Women can be masculine, women can be feminine, women can be aggressive, they can be sensitive, they can do whatever they want. A woman is not, you're not going to see a woman behave like a man and they say, oh, that's a dude. No, they're going to see a woman behaving like a man and call her an alpha boss lady, a independent woman. She's doing everything a man is supposed to do. Her femininity is not challenged. All she's got to do is put on a tight skirt. Her femininity is not challenged. So tight skirts and makeup. But if a guy is being carried by a female, oh, he's a loser. He's a deadbeat. He's not masculine at all. You start hearing devaluing comments to him. And see, we all want approval. We do. It feels good to be recognized for the things we do, especially from our spouse. But see, that's another thing. We learn this throughout our childhood to have our self-value and our self-worth tied directly to recognition, validation, confirmation, affirmation, which is all things that lead to externally, I must be recognized, especially from the person in our house, because a good job from the boss doesn't feel as good as you're doing a good job from your partner. You're doing a good job too often almost seems hollow, but with the woman that complains to you all the time about her lack of satisfaction, the one time she comes up and says, you did it right, I appreciate it, this is what I was looking for from you, that speaks volumes for men because we're typically not praised. We don't get it, but it's an external validation. Now can I get a hug? Exactly. And they're not going to want that hug because too much expression of vulnerability, men are going to be considered weak. It actually is recognized as a turnoff, and then she's going to reject you. Which forces men to suppress their feelings even further, because now they're in a position where if I express myself, I might lose my position in this relationship, right? In fact, while nearly 1 in 10 men experience depression or anxiety, less than half of them will ever receive treatment for it. One recent survey showed that 62% of men feel they cannot share their feelings with friends. The societal programming runs so deep that many men choose to break in silence rather than risk appearing weak. That means I will stop talking and linger here than to speak about it and appear weak. Crazy. This leads to what is sometimes called the male depression syndrome, male depressive syndrome. And while women are more likely to internalize their pain, so I'm not saying that y'all don't get upset and frustrated too, and that internalization will lead to classic signs of sadness, men often externalize this pain. And this doesn't look like the textbook image of depression. It looks like anger and irritability. So when a woman is holding back the tears and quiet treatment and shunning you and pulling away and doesn't want to let you express affection, you can see the internalized pain that she is repressing. But when a man is angry, he's flipping tables, he's fussing, he's cussing, he's irritable, he's stressed out, you just think he's a short-tempered guy because that's what normally how guys are supposed to behave. But that is a variation of depression that is expressed out. Picking fights, road rage. It looks like reckless behavior, driving too fast down the street, drinking too much at the bars, or working obsessively to numb the feeling of emptiness. It's an attempt to outrun the void, right? You better talk to them. Another wise, like my friend, committed suicide. I gotta tell you, there is you if you value people, you will make it a point when you see somebody looking like they're going through something that you stop what you're doing and you go sit over there with this complete stranger and give them the time of day. It's the difference between a rooftop jump, a bridge jump, swinging from a rope. It makes a big difference, bro. It really does. That's the reason why they got them hotlines out there, because just being able to talk to somebody sometimes in that pinnacle moment of despair could actually save your life. So when you got a buddy, even if you got a buddy on that bullshit more often than not, you got a buddy and they call you and they tell you that they need to talk, you need to listen, not judge, not resent, and try your best not to fix it. You just listen, because that is what they needed. They didn't need a solution to their problem. They just needed you to listen. I'm getting to that fuck it phase, Michael. I done reached an area in my life where a lot of times they're just gonna come and confide in me, and I'm just gonna listen. I don't give a fuck because you didn't come here for me to fix your problem. I'm a problem solver, but that's not what you came here for. You didn't come for a solution. Your solution was to vent. And a lot of fixers have this motivation that as soon as a problem comes up, they've got a solution for it. They got 10 solutions for it. And if you don't take one of those 10 solutions, they get pissed off because you didn't take their advice. And, I can tell you from my own personal experience, I don't even want to give advice to individuals that don't want to take it. But the Lord said, take the wisdom and go out and share it with those that wanted to learn, not force it on the people who didn't. So the fact is all you want to do is just call me up and tell me how much your life sucked. I'm here to listen. When you're ready to do something about it, let me know. And then I got all kinds of solutions. But this is going to bring us to the science of purpose, because this feeling of emptiness isn't just philosophical, it's biological. A lack of purpose is a profound psychological stressor. A meta-analysis of nearly 100 students confirmed that a greater purpose in life is significantly associated with lower levels of depression and anxiety. Purpose isn't a luxury, it is a psychological shield that buffers against stress. Individuals with a clear sense of purpose report greater life satisfaction and resilience. And when that anchor is gone, men become adrift. The performance trap has taught them that their purpose was their job or their role. So when that role is threatened or proven unfulfilling, it creates a crisis of meaning. Been working on a job that you hate for so long, and now you're asking yourself, why do I even do this? It's not part of my degree. I don't like it. It doesn't pay me enough. It makes it impossible for me to transition to what I really want to do. And you end up with a crisis. The brain registers this void as a threat. The resulting hopelessness and isolation are key ingredients that dramatically elevate the risk of self-harm. Because when you find yourself in a situation that you just cannot get out of, a lot of the times, ending it all is what people choose as a solution, when that is not the best solution. It's just the only one going through their mind at the time. And look, Michael, same with retirement. Retirement is going to be worse, in all honesty, than anything anyone can ever imagine, in my opinion, because you choose to stop working. And when you stop, you will not be able to go back to the job that you once did. You have reached an age where you are too old to be accepted in an intro level position. You are too experienced to be in that basement level pay. So it is impossible for you to get back into work normally, right? Now, you're going to have, if you've been on the job for 20, 30, 40 years, you're going to have some separation anxiety, some depression and stuff to that magnitude. Then you have nothing to do with your day. You wake up, you don't have anywhere to go, you don't have anything to do, you don't have anybody to hang with a lot of the times because you spent all of your time at work. So all of your friends are primarily work friends if you don't got some bar buddies somewhere that you was kicking it with. That spins another problem. You find yourself inadvertently self-isolating. You don't have anybody to take care of, so you don't prioritize yourself anywhere, and then you end up spiraling. You have all of this extra money, no responsibility, and you start spiraling. But see, if you have a routine with retirement, you will find yourself still maintaining some type of purpose. Retirement to me seems like it will be awesome. Steve, retirement feels awesome to you because you are burning a candle at both ends. Having the ability to just stop for a couple of weeks, maybe even a couple of months, where you could just not have to do nothing feels like heaven. But if you remember what detention felt like when you were in middle school, high school, if you remember what after school detention felt like, lunch detention where you didn't get to go to recess, if you knew what in school suspension felt like, if you ever had that Saturday detention where you were forced to sit somewhere and just sit, it ain't fun. Now, retirement, when you have stuff to do, you've got enough money to pay to go places, you can give yourself a hobby, you can pay for certain tasks to get done for yourself, you can travel and do things that gives you purpose, that finds meaning. If your goal in life now is to travel to all 200 countries, you're going to try to cover that one country a month for the next 200 months. That gives you something to do. But if you were to say, let's retire, I'm going to live in the house that I'm living in now for the next 25 years, I have nothing to do, and let's say there's enough money to pay for all the bills, so I don't even have to prioritize it. Everything can actually be set on auto pay because I don't have to do anything. That is going to stress you out. It's like lock yourself in a closet and see how long you can hang out there. No phone, no TV, no nothing. Just turn off all the lights in the house, go sit in the closet and just chill. See how long you stay there. You're not gonna be in there 5 hours before you're like, fuck this. If you do an hour, you're gonna be like, fuck this. You're gonna be trying to find something to do, right? It's not leaving work, but you have a lot more time on your hands. Well, part of it is going to be the emotional separation from all the people that you've dedicated yourself to, because you find yourself duty bound to your job. And you go to work on your days off, you go to work early, you stay late. Your work ethic duty bound you to this job for so long that when you're no longer coming back, it's going to hurt you a little bit. It's almost like a divorce from the job. Create something, me building a cabin, traveling the national parks. Yeah, you can get you some land, build you a cabin from scratch. You can, but that's finding tasks. Doing painting, money not an object anymore. True. Dogs, lots of dogs, definitely lots of dogs. I stagger my dogs. Every 4 years, I get another one. That way, in 10 to 12 years, I've always got 2 dogs for 3 or 4 years. at a time, so that when one passes, there's always another one here. Lots of dogs. I say being bored is for boring people, or I say being bored is for boring people. I could never sit on a couch and eat Cheetos. I'd be in the gym with friends, always on the go. Now, reach 70. A lot of your friends are dead. All you got left is Cheetos and Netflix. Wait, let's throw in that extra candle. You got aches and pains from certain injuries. Mobility is not in your favor. You're not gonna be always on the go. You're probably gonna be laying in the bed all the time watching TV, watching reruns of your favorite TV shows because the new stuff you don't like no more. The new music you think is dumb. You know what I mean? The new topics that people talk about on social media you're not into. You feel disconnected from your society, right? When you're young, when you're in your 20s, maybe even in your 30s, you find validation in your society. But when you're 75, hanging out with 30-year-olds, where 30-year-olds kick it, you're going to feel out of place. The same spots you go to right now at your current age, Stephen, it's not going to be the same place that you're going to be going to when you're 65 or 70, because the age is not going to change in that spot. Those local hangout spots are always going to be 20 to 30 or 30 to 40 at best. When you're 20 years older than the market, you will feel out of place. Their music is not your music. The drinks might be the same. You know, the girls might be still attractive, but now they're going to be looking at you like you're a weirdo unless they have daddy issues. So it's the mindset right now that you think that it's always going to be like this. It's not. In order for you to hang out with a group of your peers, you're going to be playing bingo in a room full of Ben Gay, right? You're going to be playing shuffleboard in a room full of Icy Hot, right? You're going to Icy Hot and Ben Gay is going to be your new scent. It's going to be your standard cologne, because you're going to have so many aches and pains. You're going to be rubbing yourself down with all kind, and then you're going to have those lidocaine patches everywhere, just so that you can move around. When you start thinking about that, you're gonna be like, yeah, shit, I need to find something to do when I'm old, and it's got to be something I'm capable of doing when I'm old. Because 3 flights of stairs every day is something you can do right now. I'm going to the gym, but shit, even Hulk Hogan stopped going to the John Cena stopped going to the gym. The Rock stopped going to the gym every day. You understand? Vince McMahon stopped going to the gym every day. Them boys stopped being swole. They don't work out no more. Triple H stopped going to the gym every day. They reach a point where they're just like, nah, I'm good, right? The science is going to be clear about this. The pressure to perform combined with the stigma against vulnerability is going to create a perfect storm, because it replaces an inherent sense of worth with a fragile performance-based identity. And when that identity falters, it leaves a void of purpose that the male mind often interprets as shame and failure, leading to a silent spiral. Matter of fact, your inability to keep still is because a man's always got to be in the middle of something. If you got time to lean, you got time to clean. So if you got time to sit on the couch and eat Cheetos, you got time to go find something productive to do. You engage this throughout your young years, and then it becomes a force of habit. And again, when I tell you, put yourself in a position where you're sitting in one spot for 4 hours with nothing to do, nowhere to go, no obligations, you're going to be more than bored. New friends, been getting preparation age, and hydrocortisone. That's right. Now, the performance trap sets the stage, but the downward spiral is often accelerated by invisible forces that act like gasoline on the fire. And these are the things that turn a struggle into a full-blown crisis. The first thing that we're going to be talking about is what I call a devaluation precision strike. Society pressures men to be the stoic rock, but every man has insecurities, deep seated fears of not being strong enough, smart enough, physically fit enough, or successful enough. Now, imagine the one person you're supposed to be the most vulnerable with takes aim at that exact insecurity. For a significant number of men, their romantic partners is their primary and sometimes only confidant. This makes their partner's world uniquely powerful. And that's why when Michael said earlier, we take value in the validation from our romantic partner before anybody else, because that's the person that we confide in. That's the person that at our worst, that person sees us, and at our best, that person is the one we're hoping is going to say you did good, not you could have done better. So when that person, their words are more powerful than anybody else's. When that person says something like, I don't need you or you're worthless, it's not just an insult, just a sting to make you feel as bad as they feel. It's a precision strike. It's an act of emotional invalidation that confirms a man's deepest fear, the fear of having no value. So for a man whose self-worth is already hanging by a thread of his utility, these words cut to the core of his identity. And a lot of men build a stronger and stronger shield to resist that. But it is an emotional barricade that works both ways to prevent yourself from being devalued on a regular basis and it hurting you. You have to almost completely shield off your emotions so that you're not expressing or receiving anything positive. It's not just criticism. It is an existential threat. Okay, it communicates that the role of the man as a provider or a protector is completely irrelevant, and the man becomes expendable. The psychological fallout is going to be catastrophic in this situation. This kind of verbal assault fosters a profound sense of hopelessness and shame. But because masculine norms punish emotional expression, he doesn't say, that hurt me. He bottles it up. The pain metastasizes, turning into simmering resentment or a defensive numbness, which is that shield that I was talking about. Or it externalizes into recklessness, outbursts of anger, or a night of heavy drinking. And in modern times, it's not just drinking. Modern times, you smoke a lot of weed, pop some pills. This is the stoic norm backfiring in real time. And this leads to the second accelerant, proxy living. When a man's real life feels devoid of purpose, he will often seek a substitute. And this is where we see the obsessive turn to things like sports, video games, and pornography. And women don't understand, why does he spend so much time on that video game? Because he's not happy in his life. And this is a substitute for happiness. That's why. Yes, men live silent lives of depression in a society that clearly dictates happy wife, happy life. But if the man is depressed and he's putting all of his effort into keeping his wife happy so that she doesn't make him more miserable, at what point was the man happy? You have content, frustrated, angry, and depressed. That's it. That's not good. That's not good at all. Right? There's nothing inherently wrong with some of these things in moderation when we're talking about like the sports, video games, and in some situations pornography. But when they become the primary source of a man's sense of accomplishment and identity, like what they call those neats, those guys that are playing video games for 18 hours a day, they're level 300 on a server that's got the average players at level 15, and that person's identity is like the god of the server, spending like $1,000 a month on a video game. That kind of identity is a problem, because it's a sign that his real life is failing to provide him any meaning. You'll find people who have a life, they phase out of video games because they don't have time for them. If that wife ain't happy and I'm being a decent partner, she can kick rocks. But we are learning that now as middle-aged men, because notice even what you just said. Let's just take what you just said on face value. If she's not happy and you're being a different partner, she can kick rocks. What about your happiness? If she's not happy, fuck what, if she's happy, it should be if you're not happy with the partner and you are trying to work towards their happiness and you're not seeing that reciprocation, that they can kick rocks. Because again, you're saying that she can leave if she's not happy with your effort, but you're also devaluing yourself subconsciously, unconsciously devaluing yourself, because you're still saying that you don't have to be happy. She can be happy and she can stay because you're being a decent person to her. Where in your statement did you value yourself? I'm not saying that you're wrong at all. I'm just saying, where in your statement did you value yourself? Many fishies in the sea. Fuck that sea. I'm going to a damn pet store and get a fish that's already been caught. I'm not. I ain't trying to get out there and put all that effort in to go fishing something out of the damn sea. Look, I don't even. So far out of the last 41 years of my life, every pet I've ever had, every service animal I've ever had, all have been free. These animals find me. I am not out there spending $2,500 to go and buy me something that's going to hopefully survive for 10 to 15 years. They're free. They're everywhere. I just walk up to somebody who's got more dogs than what they need and be like, let me take like 3 of them off your hands for you, buddy. That's it. That's it. I just end up with them. You could actually go and grab some from the pound. They're dogs that really need positive environments. You don't have to go out there and go spend $2,500 for an expensive one. You can just go and get one that's like $250. But what your wives, but look, think about wives though. When you say plenty fish in the sea, in a culture where you're not valued until you're 75, by women that are going to be willing to date you when you're 75 and they're 30, 40 years younger than you because you got money. But when you were 20, 30, 40 years old and you didn't have that much money, they didn't really care about you. That society that you live in now, you can fish all day long and you're never going to get a bite. But you can leave and go to another environment where the women value you at 30, 40 years old, 50, 60, 70, 80 years old also, because there's not a country around the world where they don't date older men. Not one country around the world where they don't date older men. So you could find yourself in a situation in a different country that's more family oriented. You don't have to fish. You just have to exist. Oh, he's old and he's a foreigner. He should be stable. That's all you gotta do. That and be nice. Shit. There ain't no fishing at that point. You've become a magnet. 10 to 12 years. I never I never of getting a wife from the pond. Oh, I ain't even trying to get one out the pond. I ain't even trying to get one out the pond. Well, I'm gonna probably go out there to the Philippines, hire me a single housekeeper that doesn't have any children, and marry that one. Find me a single personal assistant that doesn't have any children, marry that one. I'm gonna hire one. It's like $800 a month. They're way cheaper than American women. Right? So think about this. In a video game, you have clear missions. You level up, your skills get bigger, you're the hero of the story. You're going to feel a lot more dopamine hits from the side missions. So even when you can't beat the primary mission, you can go and do a bunch of side quests and still feel value for beating these games. Take GTA 6 that's coming out. Everybody's waiting on that. Been waiting on that for over a decade. GTA 5, people who beat it tons of times over. The validation that people have from getting on that from the first mission to the last mission and all of the other side missions and unlocking secret stuff and getting custom cars, getting limited edition this, and then when everything has started becoming more download friendly, download content and make the game even better and interact with other people and all of the stuff that you do where the each time you successfully complete a mission, you have that sense of validation. But also, you have each time you fail a mission, you have the drive and determination to go back and beat it the next time, right? In a study of married couples where only one partner was a gamer, 84% of the time, that partner was the husband. It's a perfect, simplified version of the performance trap, but we're one where you always feel in control. Obsessively following sports teams provides a sense of tribal belonging and emotional highs as well as emotional lows without the risk of personal vulnerability. Pornography, which around 67% of American men view annually, can offer a proxy for intimacy without the terrifying risk of real emotional connection or the long term realizations of rejections. The danger of proxy living, living through an external source like video games, sports, pornography, is that a lot like drinking salt water to quench your thirst, it provides the feeling, the fleeting sensation of satisfaction while making the underlying problem of disconnection even worse. You're thirsty, you drink you some salt water, you might quench your thirst, but you're going to dehydrate yourself even further. The more time and energy invested in these proxy worlds, the less you're available for the difficult, uncertain work of building a real life of meaning. Yes, the connection of intimacy. I said that and I got a cup of ice water. Because ice water is electrolytes. Not ice water, salt water, salt water. Get you some electrolytes. Too much of it, dry you right on out. The third accelerant is failed masculinity shame. Now, our culture has long promoted a narrow and often toxic definition of what it means to be a real man. Be aggressive, show no weakness, always be in control. This isn't a biological reality, it is a social script. Many men are realizing this script is not only outdated, but actively harmful. The problem is when a man tries to step away from this script by being more emotionally open or choosing a less traditionally masculine role, he's often faced with backlash. He might be ridiculed by other men or find his attempts at vulnerability are being met with confusion or discontent. Special shout out for Raw Logic. He's asking if we are ready for $150 of silver and $6,000 of gold. We're not quite there yet, but we're going to be looking forward to it. Not good in bed. It's her fault for not telling me what she likes. Bro, fuck that. All right, here we go again. Here we go again. Think about it like this, Michael. Why are you the one that is accused of being not good in bed when more often than not, the average woman just lays there and takes it? There's only so many ways you can go in and out. So, by definition, which person is bad at it? The person getting a cardio workout or the person that's just laying there screaming the whole time? It's like watching paint dry. You know what I mean? It's like a corpse with a sound box. The accusation is misdirected, and I find that we even when we use these examples, we still fail to value ourselves because guess what? A dude that is intimate with a female and she gets hers. She might get hers quite a few times. She's done. You're not. That can happen. What's she going to do about it? Roll over and go to sleep. You're stuck there. If you can't get yours, you're going to be discouraged to try that again because you're going to be encouraged to start it up more often, and then she's going to be frustrated at your high drive. But you never finished the first one. You know what I mean? Wait. What is a woman? oh, females. These females. That's the ones we're talking about. We're talking about the females, the ones that actually don't behave like wife material, but we chase behind them on a regular basis because they're attractive and potentially are more easily able to put out than a woman that has wife material. The ones that feel insulted when you call them a female, I'm like, well, what am I supposed to call you? Man? Like, what? Julia, call me a woman. It's the same thing. You know? They just be tripping. But when we experience these issues, it creates an intense internal conflict in men. He feels the pull towards a more authentic way of being, but he's haunted by a ghost of traditional masculinity whispering that he is failing at being a man because he's being too vulnerable. He's being too sensitive. He's overly expressing himself. We start hearing comments like, don't get your panties in a bunch and this, that, and the third, where you don't even wear male briefs anymore. Now you're female underwear. You start being devalued as a man. It's crazy. So the man demands if he adheres to the old model, which leaves him emotionally isolated, and he's going to be damned in the first scenario, but then he's also going to be damned in the second scenario because if he breaks from the old traditional ways, he's going to be facing potential social ridicule. And this is going to lead to paralysis, where there's going to be a feeling of being caught between two worlds and belonging in neither one. It's like being biracial in a racist environment. He said in the 80s, When I was riding my skateboard, if I told one of my friends I thought I was a girl, they would have beat me up. In all honesty, bro, no one boy in the 80s could have looked at another boy in the 80s and said, "You're cute." You would have been in a fight. A girl could look at another girl and say, "She's cute." Even feminine terminology is met with ruthless aggression because it under underliningly devalues the masculine position, and what men are taught is to be what is identified as alpha males. And in order to be an alpha male, you have to physically fight for your masculinity, which means that if somebody ever calls you anything outside of a man, then you're supposed to beat them up and prove to them that you are a masculine man. The protector part of things is where we fight for our masculinity, earn our stripes in the streets. When the girls used to play, they used to have tea parties. When the boys used to play, we used to have Fight Club. Don't talk about Fight Club. These factors, the precision strike of devaluation, the empty calories of proxy living, and the paralyzing shame of a shifting masculinity, explain why a man who has it all, seemingly, on the surface can be crumbling on the inside. Make sure that you guys like and subscribe as y'all ride through here. His foundation was already built on sand, and these forces are the rains washing it all away. So, when I bring you guys problems, I always have to bring you solutions. What do you do about all of this? Before we get into the solution part, I want to ask you something. If any of this is resonating and you feel a silent pressure beating on your chest or a sense of being lost, make sure that you let us know in the comment section, because you can just write, "I hear this," in the comment section. And that lets us know that you're all in with us. The goal here is to break that silence, and we're going to see that we are not alone in all of this. And that shared experience is going to be one of the first steps out of this type of isolation. So go ahead and let the community know, let the comment section roll up that you know that you're here. And while you're there, make sure that after you've liked and subscribed, you hit that notification button on the channel and maybe take a look at the membership, because we're going to be exploring topics like this in a more depth perspective from different angles. All right. We've dissected the problem, and now we're going to move from the diagnosis to the actions. And this is the most important part. These are going to be some of the best ways, the 5 concrete steps that you can begin implementing this week, today, tonight, first thing in the morning, to build a new foundation for your life, one based on inherent worth, not fleeting performance. And this framework is built on a simple idea: purpose isn't found, it is built through intentional daily action. And that's going to be the difference in retirement, where, Stephen, you were talking about, always being on the go, always having something to do. Intentional daily activity, having something to do with meaning and purpose in your life, will make retirement better. Take like Michael is doing the auctions for real estate and cars. He leaves the house, and the estate sales. He leaves the house with the purpose every day to go and find something to sell. He does research every day to find things worth selling. Oh, you said good answer. I'm not even on the answer. I'm just saying that this is a simple idea that we need to implement so the answer gets better as we go along. The first step is going to be the simplest and the hardest step at the same time. You have to stop running. The moment there's a gap in the day, the emptiness rushes in. And that's why Stephen starts trying to find something else to do. We immediately reach for the distraction, our cell phones, TV, drinks, another work task. We use these numbing behaviors to avoid confronting the void. Your first task is to become a scientist of your own life. So for the next 7 days, schedule 5 minutes of intentional emptiness into your day where you're doing absolutely jack shit. And I'm not talking about 5 minutes on the toilet. I mean 5 minutes of absolutely nothing to do. That's it. 5 minutes. Do this every day. And then during this time, no phone, no TV, no music, no work, no tasks, no planning, no nothing. Just sit. It's almost like called meditation, right? Can't stop till my last breath. Shit. To occupy my time. Nah, I ain't occupying shit. You know what? There have been, and I'm giving you guys this advice. I tell you it works. I find myself like half an hour later finding something else to do, but I feel rested though, mentally. They're like, after the show, I'm gonna go lay down, hold the dog for like 15 minutes, and then take him out for a walk. Actually, I might take him out for a walk first and then go lay down. He looked at me like, walk? No, we're not going nowhere yet. We're not going nowhere yet. Sit on the toilet, read books. But see, that's the thing though. You're not doing anything. We're not saying detach from social media. We're saying do absolutely nothing. Embrace the void. If you're reading a book, you have filled the void with an activity. Do absolutely nothing. Right? Just sit in your car after work and do nothing. Don't listen to any music. Don't think about anything. Try not to think about anything. Don't nothing. On your couch, if you're just in the house, just sit on your couch or stand and look out the window. If you're in the kitchen, just sitting there sipping on your coffee and looking out the window, just do nothing. Your only job here is to notice. That's it. Pay attention. And and that's another thing. Power naps are good, but you do the power nap either before or after this situation. But I would say that I would say do it after the power nap, because in the process of doing the power nap, it's going to take you 15 minutes to fall asleep. And that 15 minutes that you're laying there doing nothing, trying to turn your brain off to fall asleep, your goal is to fall asleep. I'm talking about literally no responsibilities at all for 5, maybe 15 minutes. Just do nothing. Be awake and acknowledge the void of responsibility, the void of activity. And during that moment, you want to notice what feelings come up. Is it anxiety? Is it boredom? Is it loneliness? Fatigue sometimes sets in when you operate on hypervigilance for so long. When you find yourself at a moment's notice not having anything to do at all, you find yourself getting sleepy and then taking that power nap. Why? Because you have been on like a display TV in a Radio Shack since before color TV came out, and you have just been running for so long, and this is the first time somebody has unplugged you. You are just going to start winding down. Don't judge the feelings. Don't try to fix anything. Just label it. You start feeling your heart racing. That's anxiety. You start yawning. You don't know what to do. That feeling of being useless starts showing up. You want to address that. Power naps usually 15 to 30 minutes. Power naps are usually 30 to 45 minutes because it takes you 15 minutes to fall asleep, and people don't recognize that. It takes you 15 minutes to 30 minutes to fall asleep. Then you're asleep for 15 minutes to 30 minutes, and your power nap is usually just that. That really 30 to 45 minutes. Because if you can fall asleep inside of 15 minutes, you're only going to be out for 15 minutes and then you're waking back up. People call that 15 to 30 minutes of actual sleep the power nap. But if you take into consideration the 15 to 20 minutes it takes for you to get to sleep for that power nap, it's not 50, it's 30 to 45 to an hour for a power nap. From the time you lay down till the time you get up. But I do understand your logic, though. I used to do that when I worked overnight and I was driving long distances. I would always, because I had like an hour and a half drive, I would always drive 30 minutes at high speed, pull over, take a 15 to 20-minute nap, leave the engine running, and then when I hear another car pull over, I would put my car in drive and I would pull off. But if something happens where I didn't hear that car, then I would see the police officer come tap on the glass and be like, "Hey, what you doing?" I was falling asleep behind the wheel, so I had to take me a 15 so that I didn't crash the car. Oh, okay. You can't hang out here too long. Nah, I'm good. Now I'm good. And take off and get back to the house. That last 45 minutes, easy to do. Easy to do. Yo, Fries, what's up? What's going on, Eric? Good to see you. He said power naps for our 3 to 4 hours. Yeah, I'm reaching that point. So the way I live life right now with the broken schedule that I have, I will do 3 to 4 hours. When I don't have a busy schedule at night, I will do 3 to 4 hours in the daytime. And actually, sometimes I actually do like 2 to 3 hours overnight and 2 to 3 hours in the morning time, and then 2 to 3 hours before the podcast. So I'll find myself in a situation where I might get 8 or 9 hours because I took 3 naps out the day. You think the market will bounce back after the last 2 days? No. You realize we're in a shutdown right now, right? The market went down because the government shut down on Monday. And when the government shuts down, immediately after the government shuts down, a lot of things start going down quickly. It will bounce back after the shutdown is over. But because we're in the middle of a shutdown, and they have not finished that budget that includes the Department of Defense, we are still experiencing a shutdown right now. So, and it just started on Monday, so tomorrow being Friday would be 5 days into a government shutdown. So what that means is that the market just dipped the 2 days after the shutdown happened, and it's going to dip a little bit more going into next week. It just means that Congress just swing traded. You already know. Okay, so this is how insider trading works. So if you were one of the ones who had high stakes in a company that you knew was going to get impacted by the shutdown, you knew the shutdown was coming, you sold Friday of last week before the shutdown was announced, or Thursday of last week before the shutdown was announced. Now that the market just tanked, you can buy back in during the dip. And then when the market bounces back, you get a gain off of that twice a year. Because it happened in October too. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Gonna have to buy some bargains tomorrow. Oh, yeah. Any one of the stocks that you've been following that you normally would invest in at full price, if it dipped, now is the time to buy a hand. It's like Black Friday. It's like Thanksgiving and Christmas shopping. You catching that after a New Year's Eve sale, and you just buy a bunch of stock because it's going to bounce back as soon as the shutdown is over. It's only going to be a real problem if the shutdown lasts past 14 days, because well, actually it's not that big of a problem because it's going to benefit a lot of us, because the ICE agents on the ground will stop getting paychecks 2 weeks into the shutdown, which means that they're less likely to be out there giving us hell because they're not even being paid to be out there anymore. So it's more likely that they resolve it over the next 2 weeks. But even if they ran it till March, the benefit is we've got a skeleton crew for IRS agency right now. So we can just put our taxes in with no faults and no failures and no hiccups. And they're not going to fuck with us this year. If you're one of the last ones to file, you're going to be one of the first ones to get on it. Just saying. Now, at the end of sitting somewhere doing absolutely nothing, I want you to write down one sentence about what you noticed. Felt a huge wave of anxiety about my to-do list, or realized how quiet the house is and felt incredibly lonely. This isn't about wallowing, it's about getting an honest assessment of your internal state. And you can't heal what you refuse to feel. You also can figure out the things that bother you the most in life, because when you get into that 5 or 10 or 15 minutes of doing absolutely nothing, the thing that throbs on your mind, the thing that makes you want to start talking in that quiet moment, that's the stuff that needs the most attention. So I think I'm going to get after our cat tomorrow. Our cat? Who's our cat? Let me see. Let me look at our cat. We wasn't following our cat. Oh, Red Cat Holdings Incorporated, $11.31. Is that a dividend paying stock? Red Cat Holding shares retreat as traders secure profits. It has a buy or strong buy rating right now from consensus analysis, with targets suggesting significant upsides, but this is just tempered by concerns about cash burn and lack of profitability. It has a negative valuation metric like the P&E, making it a spectaculatory play, speculative play. I'm getting tired. Speculative play for investors seeking high growth despite current financial losses. With a 10% loss today, 4% year over year, and 5% more after hours. That's 15%. I don't know. You're asking me about a stock that's should be reaching 125 million by 2026, by the end of 2026. If it doesn't pay dividends, though, I'm running. If it don't pay dividends, I ain't touching it. I ain't touching it, because I got a lot of stocks right now that if the stock market crashed on everything, it should have crashed on some of the ones. Matter of fact, I could tell while we 3/4 of the way through the show, because I'm going to get into some of the other stuff about how to improve your situation. But just taking a glance real quick, 1%, 0.3%. Oh, look, AGNC is up right now during the shutdown. Orchid Island is up right now so AGNC just went up 34%. So hell, if I would have had a lot of stock in that one, I would have had a massive growth. It went from 9 to 11. It went up 34% on that one. Then Orchid Island went up 7%. So total portfolio just climbed by a lot. It just climbed by a lot. And mine are paying out dividends. So I'm looking at watching when they start going into the negative and buying back into them, paying, boosting up as many of them as I can. So now that you have a clear picture of that emptiness that we were talking about earlier with how men's mentality is impacted, we need to build a compass. A life without purpose is a life without direction. And your direction is determined by your core values, not the ones society gave you. So you want to set aside 30 more minutes out of your day uninterrupted. Answer these 3 questions with gut level honesty. Write them down. Peak experience. When in your life have you felt most alive and engaged? Doesn't have to be a huge achievement. Doesn't have to be falling off a cliff or jumping through helicopters or anything like that. It could be coaching your kid's soccer team, or a deep conversation with a friend, or being in nature. What were you doing? What about it made you feel that way? Right? Admired traits. You want to think of 2 people you deeply admire. What specific qualities do you admire in them? Not their job title or their wealth or social status, but their character. Is it their courage, their integrity, their compassion? You know, one of the things that I talk to women about on those dating platforms, when they come and they talk to me about that, one of the first few things that I ask them is, what about me did you admire or whatever attracted to you that caused you to reach out? What did you like about me? Right? And the reason why I ask that open-ended question is not because I would be fishing for compliments, because I really wanted to know where your mindset was when you thought about coming to talk to me. Because if a woman was to ask a man, what about me did you like that made you come over and talk to me? Truth is, they're never going to say your brains, and they're never going to say your skill set. They're never going to say your career choice. They're going to say the way you look in that outfit, your shape. They might try their best not to focus on your naughty bits, and maybe say that you got like a good posture with strong calves, knowing that they're staring at your butt cheeks. They might say that, you know, you look fit, you work out, because they're looking at your midsection with the wide hips. They might say that you've got pretty eyes when they're looking at your chest, you know, something like that. You know, that they can compliment the hair that you sewed into your scalp, because that's not your real hair. But the dynamic is that they were physically attracted to you, and that's what made them come over. That doesn't work with women. A woman is not going to look at a man and go, oh, sometimes they do, but not all the time. Oh, he's dreamy. I'm going to go over there and go talk to him because he looks attractive. And that's the only reason why I'm going over there. It's not always the case. Usually they saw him buy something expensive. He showed up in an expensive car. He has name brand clothes that they recognize, and they're coming over and they're talking to him because he looks like he has money. That's what some women do. Other women, on the other hand, that are looking for an intellectual man, might hover around the man close enough to hear his conversation, but far enough away not to impose. And she might hear what he says, and she'll go over there and talk to him because he sounds smart. You got some that'll see him doing something that requires a lot of strength, and she'll go over there and talk to him because he did something that makes him look strong, right? So when you ask a woman, what about me that made you come over and start talking to me? Truth is, there's a plethora of responses that could have happened there. It's not going to always be the same thing. I thought you were cute. But when you do this for yourself, you're looking at, what do you value in other people? Their courage, their integrity, their compassion. You realize the only way that we can find fault in someone else is if we have that same fault in ourselves. So, and you recognize something that you've done if you see somebody else do it. It doesn't matter if it's right or wrong. So you can clearly identify when other people are fucking up because you fucked up before, right? Now, the unconstrained ideals is going to be the next thing you're going to do, because if money wasn't an issue and you knew you couldn't fail, what would you do with your time? That's a good question to ask yourself. What problems would you solve and what would you create? Right? Giving yourself a blank check to fix all the issues. Now, if you look at all of those answers, what are the reoccurring themes? Because if you're doing this at least once a week or every day, you will find that some of your answers are going to be the same. Some of them are going to be different. Depends on your mood. If you're trying your best to give a different answer than the one you gave yesterday, doesn't mean you're not going to give a different answer than the one you gave last week, because you're not looking at last week's answers before you write down this week's answers to the same questions. But you want to distill reoccurring themes into 3 to 5 core values. Words like creativity, connection, service, growth, integrity, adventure, and health. These words are now your compass. Purpose is discovered through action, not thought. And now that you have your compass, which are your values, it's time to take small steps in that direction. Pick one of the values. Let's say connection. Your mission for the next week is to run a small, low stakes experiment based on that value. The hypothesis is, if I do more things related to connection, I will feel more purposeful, right? An example of a small experiment: value connection. The experiment is going to be, call one old friend you haven't spoken to in over a year just to catch up. Value of growth. Experiment's going to be, spend 30 minutes on Saturday morning watching a tutorial on a skill you've always wanted to learn. If you value service, the experiment's going to be, sign up for a single 2-hour volunteer shift at a local charity. Not an all-day event, not back-breaking labor, not a 6-month community service effort, just 2 hours. And the reason why it's 2 hours is because the first 30 minutes you're going to be trying to figure out where you fit in there, and then the next hour and a half you're going to knock it out. After the experiment, journal about your energy. Whatever energy this activity gave you, not what drained you. Did it leave you feeling more alive, neutral, or did it actually drain you? Because if it drains you, you want to document it, but you're looking for something that's going to build you up. This is critical data. Maybe volunteering left you feeling empty. That's not a failure. It's a successful experiment that helps you pivot. Because if you do not feel validation from helping out, why do it outside of social praise? Run one or two of these small experiments every week to build momentum. After a few weeks of experiments, you'll know which activities genuinely energize you. And now it is time to turn one of those into a consistent practice. So you want to set one, and only one, purpose-driven goal for the next 30 days. And this isn't a performance goal like get a promotion. It must be tied to a core value and be something you directly control. If your value is health and you discovered a morning walk energizes you, your goal could be walk 15 minutes for 4 days a week. before work. Easy to do if you got a dog. If your value is creativity and you enjoy writing, your goal could be write for 20 minutes every Saturday morning. If you value connection and calling that friend felt good, your goal could be schedule one phone call or coffee with a friend each week. I give you 3-hour podcast every day. The goal must be specific and very realistic. It's an anchor. When life gets chaotic, this is the one thing you do for yourself that reminds you who you are. It's an act of profound self-respect. You can't do this alone, though. The entire crisis that we've been discussing is rooted in isolation. The myth of the self-made man is one of the most destructive lies of the performance trap. In 1990, only 3% of American men reported having no close friends. By 2021, that number had jumped to 15%. This step has two parts. First, build your counsel. Then identify one of the three people in your life that you can be truly honest with. That's going to end up being your true best friend, not the best friend that you've already identified. This isn't about a drinking buddy. This is about someone who listens more than they talk and doesn't try to fix you when you start telling them what's going on. It could be a friend, a brother, or a mentor. A Pew Research Center survey found that men are significantly less likely than women to turn to a friend for emotional support. 38% for men versus 54% for women. If you don't have anyone like that, then finding that person becomes your most important goal. The second, seeking professional support. Everybody should have a therapist by now. So let's be clear. Going to a therapist is not a sign of weakness. It's also a very good career, but it is a sign of profound strength. It's like a professional athlete hiring a coach. You are hiring an expert to help you understand your own mind and dismantle faulty programming. And as a therapist, you can do that online. You can be a digital nomad and be a therapist all over the world. You can learn multiple languages and be a therapist in different countries. With telehealth, it's never been more accessible. Mental health services continue to be the most common use of telehealth, with nearly 1/3 of all visits happening remotely. Unaddressed mental health issues are far more likely to tank your career through burnout and poor performance than talking about them ever will. Okay? So it's always good to get it out. These 5 steps are the cycle, a new way of living from the inside out. Because in order for you to change your life, first person accountability, you have to start with yourself. And then you work your way into changing the things around you that are inside of your control. And this is how you build a foundation that can't be shaken by your next failure or even your next success. We've covered a lot today over the last couple of hours, but I want to leave you with a final idea that changes everything. The entire system we've been dissecting is built upon a lie. The lie of earned worth. It's the idea that you start at zero and must spend your life, more than 75% of it, achieving to prove you deserve to be here. Your worth is a grade on a report card, constantly updated by your latest success or failure. And this is the source of the anxiety and the shame. The most radical act a man can take is to reject this premise and adopt a new operating system based on inherent worth, not external validation from social worth. Inherent worth means your value has, as a human, become absolutely and unconditionally uh, uh, recognized. It was assigned at birth and cannot be increased or diminished by anything you do. Your job, your bank account, your wins, your losses, none of it can touch your intrinsic value. $100 bill can crumble and tore, but it can be burned, but it's still worth $100. Well, if you destroy $100 bill, it's actually just a piece of paper that's worth the 12 cents that it took to print it. But its value is inherent to what it is, not its condition. So yeah, if you crumple up a $100 bill, or if you fold $100 bill, yeah, it's got creases in it, but it's still worth $100. It's not a new $100 bill. That old money with the big face presidents is still real currency. It's just older, more worn, but its value is still the same. Because I'm glad I could tune in tonight, as I always appreciate it. Oh, I'm almost done. I still got I ain't even finished. I had like 8 pages of motivational speech before this bad boy. But I'm glad that you stuck with us throughout the night and was able to get some of this stuff, because a lot of this stuff that people don't think about, they don't know. And they wonder why they feel like shit. They wonder why they're going through life. They're doing everything right, or at least they think they are, and they're not happy. They're not happy because they have not valued and validated themselves. And a lot of times you do so much stuff to distract yourself from how you feel, because men are not allowed to feel. That the moment you stop moving, you start feeling things. It feels uncomfortable because you're not allowed to feel stuff. So then you try to distract yourself from those feelings. I'll be sitting here with a bowl of some beef stew. I just made some more boneless spare ribs just so that I can get rid of those other ribs out of the pork shoulder. I had to get rid of that. So I just made some more of those. And I'll just be sitting here just eating that. And I did it in a different way with some honey and cinnamon and some other things. So now it's really good. And I can take a Ritz cracker and put some pork on it, and I'm eating pork and Ritz. I just sat here and just got creative and just sat here and just chilling. And for, I think, 30 minutes in the middle of the night, I had nothing going through my mind, nothing that I was working on outside of the podcast, none of the other clients I had after the podcast, not even working on the podcast. And I was just sitting there like, this is some good food. That was it. But a lot of people could be in the moment and their brain just starts running. Their mind is going at 1,000 miles a minute because there's so much stuff that they have never addressed. They just suppress it. It's in the back of their mind, coming to the front as soon as the front of their mind stops working hard. It's in their heart, and it comes out of their eyes as soon as they stop moving. You know, they you start feeling the stinging, burning feeling in your chest. It's not heartburn. It's a panic attack. It's the tears that you've been holding back for 7 years on that one ex that you never got over. That these things happen, and in that moment, it's okay to cry. It is okay to vent. It's okay to get a little frustrated. It's okay to walk around the house talking to yourself. Get it off your chest. Get it off your chest. Because once you get it off your chest, the stress is no longer there. And now you can put your energy towards something else. You will find yourself burnt out. As soon as you start talking about all the stuff that is bothering you, whether you're talking to yourself or talking to your dog or talking to your therapist, so much stuff come up off your chest, you find yourself burnt out. You take your power nap, and when you wake up, you feel like you've been asleep all night. Ain't been down but 30 minutes, but you feel like you just slept all night because you are now rejuvenated, because you have let out all of the stress and frustration that was holding you down. You've got you like the 12 trials of Hercules, but you've got a whole mountain on your back. of stress, frustration, anxiety, depression that you ignore and you carry it and you're tired all the time. That's why you're tired. You put that backpack down, you put that mountain down, you find yourself light as hell. You find yourself lighter than when Piccolo took off all of his training gear. You're able to move quick now. You're able to get stuff done. Typically, we find ourselves taking that backpack, that mountain of stress off when we meet somebody. That new person makes us forget about all of the stuff that we never addressed. And we take that era of relief for granted, and then we dive into it as a substitute to fixing the damn problems. But it doesn't fix the problem, because once you get used to that new person being there, guess what's looming over you? All the stuff you forgot when the new person showed up. And this is for guys and girls alike, because you never addressed what happened before you met this new person. Then when everything starts unraveling in the relationship, now the new person looks at all of these bags, that big ass mountain you was carrying full of chaos, and they got to ask themselves, can I handle that? Because I got my own backpack of chaos that I brought. And that's usually when these relationships starts falling apart again. So the 5 steps that we just went through are not about earning your worth with somebody else. They are about practicing for remembering the worth that is already inside of you. When you notice the emptiness, you're acknowledging your feelings are valid. It's okay to feel lonely sometimes. It's not a problem. The problem is feeling that loneliness with something that doesn't value you. You don't value it. You don't value yourself. The people say that you have to feel comfortable with yourself before you can get comfortable with somebody else. But at the end of the day, you can still feel lonely and recognize that you're waiting for the right person. You're not going to put a toxic person in your life just so that you're not lonely. You know what I mean? I understand that I feel lonely, but I'm not going to let that stop me. And that feelings that validates you is independent of your performance. So you don't feel lonely because you can't find a girl. You don't feel lonely because you can't make enough money to be that $100,000 a year man. You feel lonely because there's nobody here right now. And it's fine. You know, enjoy that feeling. And if it leads you to cry a little bit and get it off your chest, because when you get that feeling off of your chest, guess what leaves with it? The desperation. And desperation prevents you from finding a partner, because if they know you're desperate, they can sense it. They can sense it by your hyper anxiety. They can sense it by your extra sweating, your nervousness, your stuttering of your speech, your second guessing yourself the whole time. I don't know if they like me, but I don't want to go. You know, that desperation, I don't want them to go. I'm going to do all of this stuff to make them stay. You're going to become overbearing and convince them to leave, because you have not made peace with being okay with being lonely, being alone, being by yourself, getting your own thing going. So when you clarify your values, you're connecting to your own internal compass. This isn't about how society treats you or what you get from society. This is about how you treat yourself. And when you run experiments and set a goal, you're investing in your soul, not just your resume. The research shows that people with a higher sense of purpose are more likely to proactively take care of their health and even spend fewer nights in the hospital. And when you build your counsel, you demonstrate the ultimate strength, the courage to be vulnerable, people that you can share with, people who will listen to what you've got going on, which will help you get through the things that are holding you down. This shift from earned to inherent worth reframes failure from an indictment of your character to just a data point. It frees you from the crippling need for external validation. It also allows you to pursue things because they align with your values, not because they make you look good. It's always going to allow you to rest when you're focusing in this fashion, to be gentle with yourself, and to be human, not just the alpha masculine man. Because in all honesty, sigmas get a lot more in life than alphas, because sigmas don't got to fight for nothing. We just convince people to roll. Why beat up the crew to make them roll with you when you can just convince everybody who's like-minded to roll with you? You would prefer to have people voluntarily follow you than to have the stress and pressure of forcing and convincing people to follow you, right? The path forward isn't about becoming a better man in the eyes of a broken system. It is about becoming a more authentic man in your own eyes, finding strength not in stoic independence, but in profound connections. And these connections are to yourself, your values, and the people you allow to truly see who you really are. So we come back to the beginning. Men are breaking silently, but it doesn't have to be this way. The reason for the break isn't a personal failing, it's a systemic one, built on a lie about where our values come from. Today, we've exposed that lie and laid out a blueprint for a new way forward, a way to build a life on the bedrock of your own inherent worth. And this journey isn't easy. It requires courage and honesty. It also requires taking the first small steps. Maybe that step is sitting in silence for 5 or 10 minutes. Maybe it's writing down those 3 questions. Maybe it's reaching out to that one friend from way back when. Whatever it is, I urge you to take it. You are not alone in this. And the world desperately needs men who are whole, connected, and alive with a purpose that comes from within, not described by society. Your true performance has nothing to do with what you produce. It has everything to do with the courage with which you live your one precious life. So, if tonight's show was valuable, please make sure that you share it with some other individuals, especially some of the men that might need to hear it. And let's continue to break that silence together. On my way out, I want to start off by saying, ladies, as long as the situation doesn't make sense, I'm going to keep asking you ladies to make it make sense. So ladies, please make it make sense. Special shout out to Red Void and Danny Steffen from Twitch. I see you. Steven from Twitter. I see you also. Steven from from YouTube. Michael, I appreciate y'all from coming through. Eric and Bra Logic did a good job today. Every day we give you guys this information where we're helping you guys become higher value men by changing the way you see the world, changing the way you make decisions, changing the way you operate so that you can get better results. And while we do this to make men become higher valued men, you still have to take the time out of your life to find the things that are inside of your control that you don't like and make the changes to change them. Then navigate around the things that are outside of your control. That's what you have to do. And then, ladies, while this is a male-driven podcast from the male's perspective, you too can come to this show and y'all can learn things that y'all can utilize to make yourselves higher valued individuals. Because while men are negatively impacted by this dynamic, you could take those 5 steps and improve yourself as well, because your value, your external validation, which leads a lot of women to scantily clad outfits to get more attention, extra makeup to get more attention, all of this extra fake hair and fake nails with rhinestones and everything on it to get extra attention, gym memberships just to work on your legs and your glutes for extra attention. You could actually not do a lot of that and pay more attention to your damn self. Then when the man is talking to you, he's going to be talking to you because he values you for your intellect, and he values you for your skill set, and he values you for something other than your body. Because you're not bringing your body to the table. You're bringing your skills, you're bringing your knowledge, you're bringing your wisdom, your philosophies, you're bringing your investment opportunities. You're bringing something other than I might put out to the table. And that discourages, and I talk about it like that because when the only thing that can be observed from across the room is she's hot. The only thing that person is thinking about when they got that she's hot on the other side is sleeping with the girl. That's it. That's the only thing going through that guy's mind. There's not a scenario where a guy's on the out, unless you're doing a lecture and you're the keynote speaker, the guy's on the other side of the room and she sounds smart. But if you were conservative, where you were not pronouncing your figure through your outfit, he wouldn't be looking at you from across the room thinking, oh, she's hot. She actually might be smart. I want to go over there and see if she is. Or I heard her in a conversation and she sounds really smart. She said something that not a lot of people talk about. I'm watching her perform a task that not a lot of people know how to do. And I want to see what else she knows. Now you're going to have men approaching you because of what you can do outside the bedroom, right? So if you validate yourself and you provide yourself with your own self-attention, you can then, instead of taking all of the attention from the rest of society and social media, you can really just focus on the one guy that is willing to match your hand and double down on your investment so that whatever you're trying to accomplish in life, you can get there twice as fast. That's the person that you're looking for, not the person that's willing to spend a bunch of money on entertaining you just so that he can sleep with you. The guy that's like, shit, she's got a good idea. She wants to start up this business doing whatever. That's a fantastic idea. I want to take what I got, invested in that, and market it for her and help her make that successful. That's the kind of person you're looking for. You're looking for a person that values you for a person and says, I want to enhance that, not just hit that. And when you change the way you carry yourself and you change the way you behave, you change the people you attract to you, which we're going to be talking about in future shows. So with that being said, I want to thank you guys for coming to This and That. I'm your host, Xander, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. And I'll see you guys tomorrow night.
Chase validation, now I validate myself. Building inner strength, putting doubt upon the shelf. No more unnecessary drama, no more wasted time. Climbing higher, constantly making my own climb. My network is my net worth. Choose your company wise. Surround yourself with eagles, not with sheep in disguise. Every interaction is a reflection of my brand. my personal command.